So we'll start with the very first question to Mr. Kumar. Mr. Kumar, why do we need real-time supply chain visibility?
It is given in every industry. In pharma, because in India the supply chain doesn't have visibility, there are multiple challenges. And of those multiple challenges, in the last 2 years of COVID, we all know the kind of news that we may have read in various articles. The first and the foremost challenge is the stockout issues. People did not get oxygen cylinders on time. We didn't get remdesivir kind of medicines on time, ivermectin, vitamin C, and so on and so forth, right? So stockouts in challenging times like COVID or in any other times are the first and most important facet of the resilience that the supply chain has to cater to. Uh, Going beyond that, the whole idea of visibility in supply chain brings a lot of ideas for business, for sales to grow, and it could have optimum inventory levels. It could bring in the right planning for what kind of inventory is needed where. Even if there is a surge in input costs, pricing for such surge can be handled for output costs. Proper replenishment models can be made in terms of supply chain, and the very important fact that 3000 crores worth of medicines annually in India is burnt because it expires. This is because there's no visibility like in FMCG industry, in pharma, that where is the secondary sales, where's the tertiary sales, and how much is it. So if there is a visibility in supply chain, the FIFO method of inventory management, on time but not in full kind of challenges in inventory management, can all be arrested real time. This can valuably save up to 3000 crores of medicines that go for short expiries and expiries. You're on mute, Nikita.
Mr. Kumar, from a Bollywood inspirer like Mr. Kumar to a founding member that we have, Mr. Pujari. Mr. Pujari, same question to you, of course. Why is it that you think that we need a real-time supply chain visibility?
I was on mute. So if you look at the last 5 years, what has happened is that the consumer behavior is changing. The consumer behavior today is that I want to order an app. I want to get it home. So as a service provider and as a supplier of specifically the pharmaceuticals and of course, any other products, one would like to know from where I can supply. And supply chain is playing a going to play a major role in the coming years, because the availability is in one place, the customer demand is another place. So how do the demand planners do the demand planning and supply planning is based on the visibility of the inventory available across the supply chain, so that they can service from the nearest place from where they can supply to the customer. And in future, as we go along, we can see more and more customers buying online through mobile app, and for us to supply to them at wherever they want, visibility of supply chain is very important.
Answer, Mr. Pujari, and of course, back to our Bollywood inspirer, Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, the same question to you. Why is it that you believe that we should have real-time supply chain visibility?
So I will just give some examples of past industry stalwarts and what they have said, and I will just mix it with my experience in the recent past. So in supply chain parlance, right, there is a term or saying, what gets measured gets done, right? So this means that you will hear this very often from supply chain people, that you give me a better forecast or visibility and I will help you with a better supply chain, right? Which is nothing but better alignment of supply with your demand, right? So visibility basically allows, if you ask me, to identify disruptions up and down the supply chain and synchronize supply and demand both at the point of sale and at the required time of delivery, right? And it also helps us reduce the risks, costs throughout the supply while improving the overall service levels. So very crucial thing.
Wow, I mean, Mr. Roy, what a beautiful line. I'm just going to, interpret in my own sense. Is you mentioned what can be measured, can be improved, can be sold,
Yes.
can be done anything till it has accountability. Fantastic answer. Moving on to Mr. Kumar, right? There was a very detailed description on what you just gave. And of course, right, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to be a resounding yes that there should be real time visibility by all our revolutionaries. So, talking to our first revolutionary, Mr. Kumar, how does it help in mitigating competition and maintaining the right stocks? That is, of course, the better inventory visibility.
I think first and foremost is the brand as a defense in providing visibility to the supply chain, and rightly from the source. So if we look at pharmacists, and when a prescription comes to a pharmacist, and if the brand is not available at the pharmacy, it is bound to get substituted, and the brand value hence gets degrowth. So uh, the competition gets a headway in terms of getting that medicine dispensed which was not available versus which was available and what was required for the patient. That's the first and foremost challenge in terms of in terms against competition for supply chain visibility. It also challenges in the hindsight the brand loyalty, which comes as a substitute on this challenge. Further, it gives an opportunity for the competition to understand that there is a market, there is a demand, because your brand was not available when it was most needed. So the whole idea of having a supply chain visibility versus the competition that may get a headway is bound to happen. Second major impact in terms of visibility against a competition can be in terms of cost, which is optimal utilization of warehouses on inventory days, on availability at various stockist points is going to further reduce the cost of actually handling the entire process of supply chain. Uh, Thirdly, there are various platforms in the country today which are collaborative in nature, which do provide market opportunities in terms of anonymous data of what are the generic molecules that are selling in certain parts of the country or in terms of secondary sales. So such collaborative platforms do provide us opportunity and visibility of what is needed where and how can competition add value or provide us to add value for our business. Lastly, we know about all the platforms today, including the listing of Zomato, that the nearest to the customer you are, the better is your valuation. So getting visibility of your brand, be it on either B2B or B2C platforms, it gives you a clear requirement of your customer or your patient, and it obviously gives you a better brand value. Yeah.
I seem to keep forgetting this. Amazing answer, Mr. Kumar. What a beautiful line, right? I mean, brand is definitely a thing, but it's only so much till the time that you are there when your customer needs you the most. Fantastic answer. And moving on to Mr. Roy, of course, right? So, Mr. Roy spoke a lot on accountability and measure, which is the crux of our question. Mr. Roy, what are the current market trends, measured or unmeasured, when it comes to supply chain and the dynamics of new players?
Sure. So thanks for that question. I think that question is becoming increasingly pertinent, especially in the COVID era, right? I mean, while we continue to work on optimizing our internal processes, it's very important to keep an eye at the evolving marketplace, so to say, right? And when I talk about the marketplace, I mean large stockists, right, which are aggressively acquiring to increase the retail reach. There is an increased competition amongst the stockists that we are observing. A chain e-pharmacies already constitute 5 to 10% of the India pharma sales, right, and growing at 2 to 3 times the market. When we talk about the government, right, the government is keen on trackable supply chain, leveraging digital solutions, right. Competitors, on the other hand, are already starting to invest in capturing secondary sales data. And we heard from Mr. Bhavik, from Mr. Vilas, that tracking secondary sales data is becoming increasingly important for a better forecasting, for a better supply chain, right? And last but not the least, which is the multiple regional vendors popping up with solutions offered to stockists and retailers, right? So with these trends, there is of course a significant implication for the industry side as well, right? So talking about the implications, right, there are few things that I would like to highlight. So one being your digital and analytics playing a key role in bringing efficiency, reducing your costs, increasing the reach, and managing the inventory complexity, right? Second, pharma companies are already moving towards harnessing supply chain as a strategic differentiator. And third, vendors seeking partnership with pharma companies for achieving scale. So, I mean, with trends, there are obviously implications. And in order to be competitive and with the agility in mind, right, we need to grow, keeping a bigger picture in the mind, right? So that's my take here.
Amazing take, Mr. Roy. And from Mr. Roy to our, like we labeled him and correctly so, our founding member and a veteran, right? Mr. Pujari has been in this industry for such a long time and he knows the ins and out of it. Mr. Pujari, what is your thoughts on the same, right? The lack of cold storage supply chain management in India, what do you think would be the challenges faced in the current pandemic that we're in? And of course, right, you being the veteran, you knowing inside out, what would you propose as a solution or efforts to rectify?
Yeah. See, the non-availability of cold chain in various sectors, and specifically in the pharma sector, in the last 1.5 year, the new kind of situation that we have had is it has impacted the availability of the drugs significantly, and even the vaccination. And when it goes to the new villages, when we talk of the supply, the cold storage, this power supply is still a luxury in many of the villages and many of the places in India. And looking at the kind of environmental impact the global warming has had, where the availability of rain, the unseasonal rains that have impacted, we have heard many of the stories where the overall impact on the availability of drugs has been severe. So today the reverse migration has also happened. If you look at the we have had in all these years, the migration was happening to the larger cities, and today the reverse migration has happened, and many people have gone to their native places, the villages, and got stuck there. And the population there, if you look at, has suddenly increased, and these were the health conscious, health caring people, and for them the availability of drugs becomes very, very important. And we have seen situation where the complete lockdown, the lockdown was not just state to state, it was district to district, village to village lockdown, taluka to taluka lockdown was there. In that situation, moving the material across everywhere is definitely going to be was a challenge. And going ahead, looking at what's happening, like if you have heard, Maharashtra has severe challenges with respect to the latest rains that have been playing havoc. So in those situations, having a proper cold chain complete solution available across India is very, very important. And we need to achieve self-sufficiency in terms of power, in terms of storage, to achieve the larger objective.
Mr. Kumar, what an interesting point, right? Reverse migrating, the very fact that people were forced to go back to their native places has caused, it definitely did cause a havoc to the districts and the states at that time. But do you also see it as a reason why healthcare bettered in such places?
Absolutely, yes. Let's understand healthcare bettered in such places. Healthcare is a state subject, and if we look at migrating or reverse migration that has happened, I think in these 1.5 2 years, people have realized what immunity is. People have realized what is healthy food. People have realized what is fitness. So those have taken an upper hand. And if we see the number of businesses or startups that have opened up in the last 18 months, more than 1,000 nutraceutical startups. So we at ACOMS We manufacture more than 4,000 different SKUs, 14,000 brands, Asia's largest in terms of contract manufacturing. We never ever have got such number of inquiries that we have got in the last 10, 12 months on such nutraceutical, herbaceutical, cosmeceutical kind of products. So yes, reverse migration has brought in the know-how of what healthcare is. It has also propelled the wellness industry in our country.
Fantastic point. And I think, like I said, right, it takes an expert like Mr. Pujari to think about reverse migrating, which has caused this to happen. Mr. Kumar, another question to you is how effective is end-to-end supply chain visibility in avoiding a very big problem which pharma sector usually faces, which is drug counterfeiting? Like, how does it pose as a protective against it?
First of all, we all should know that counterfeiting globally is a $75 billion market. It's 10% of any medicine produced is a counterfeit medicine, according to the WHO, World Health Organization, UNESCO, so on and so forth. So in India also, it's a similar challenge. And in terms of identifying end-to-end supply chain versus identifying drug counterfeiting, I think the challenges are on really the tracing and locating of such counterfeit products in the supply chain. And to locate them, we can talk about new generation solutions like algorithmic based AI tools, which can come on every medicine pack, versus blockchain for distributed ledger, or the not so new generation tools, but the tools that are effective because Indian medicines are economically priced compared to developed nations, and the cost of tracing or tracking medicines in India doesn't really give ROI from a patient or the supply chain perspective. So we can look at the basics, which is a 2D barcode, a barcode which can change on every SKU, a SMS feature on every SKU that can be scanned by a patient to see the validity or the source of the product. These are few ways and means in which the tracking can happen from the source, which is the manufacturer, till the end consumer. Certain clients of ours have adopted the 2D barcode, the 3D barcode solutions, the SMS solutions, where we have the pack inserts also digitally available for every SKU when a consumer scans just the code. So in India, it is not mandatory to have a 16-digit barcode for any medicine manufactured and consumed in India, but the Ministry of Commerce has made it mandatory for exports. So it can be tracked elsewhere globally. We've also recently got news about Chinese using made in India medicines and exporting it to Africa. So such business challenges that we see solves it by GS1 standards of coding. And if similarly it's implemented in India, it can solve the counterfeiting challenges in India as well. Further, when it tracks end-to-end supply chain, it also helps us in terms of prediction of risk that involves if certain batch quantities are manufactured and volumes against those batch quantities are sold, infiltration from one state to another. And lastly, the audit trail that is possible if we have an end-to-end visibility of the supply chain. Thank you.
Mr. Kumar, what a simple yet such an effective measure you mentioned about the barcode, the encoding which can happen, which helps to track all the medicines. What a simple yet absolutely effective measure. And this is exactly what we do at Exito, brainstorm to come up with solutions which help India in some way or the other. Mr. Pujari, our next question to you is, right, with your vast experience, we would actually want you to give a use case on the technological transformation that has made that was made in the supply chain to gain competitive advantage?
See, we in ACG at least, I mean, I may not be able to give you exact solution details and all. So the complete supply chain is not just about the supply, like, of course, in pharma industry, the supply chain till the retail shop, it is very, very important. But for us also, we being B2B organization, to ensure that our products reach the right customer, and also when we are getting the product from our supplier, the material from our supplier, so there has to be a complete availability, visibility across the chain. So we have been working on solutions like connecting to our vehicle providers, connecting to, because we also supply in environment controlled vehicles, so that becomes additional challenge. So we have worked out a solution wherein we complete visibility of the vehicle till it goes to the customer, temperature measurement, because our capsules, we supply capsules, so it's very important that we ensure that the proper temperature is maintained so that right products reach the good quality products reach our customers. So, and also the availability of the real-time visibility of where the truck is held up, where it is going, one. On the second hand, we are also discussing about when we supply to export markets, the overseas markets, tying up with the shipping agencies to have a real-time availability, visibility of our goods which are moving. Some of our goods also interestingly go through courier. So because the packaging films, small products, small packages go through courier. So we also have integrated that courier solution using the APIs into our solution, so that we can, for all our group companies, we get a complete visibility of the material across the supply chain. And we are also now working, we have implemented a solution for our supplier relationship management, wherein right from the time it leaves from our supplier till it reaches ECG, it is completely visible to all of us.
Mr. Pujari, I mean, and I speak on behalf of all our amazing audience members, right? We never knew there's so much pain and effort which goes to just getting goods at our doorsteps, environment controlled vehicles. That is such a new thing. I never thought that in English dictionary, these three words would be together, and what a new concept. And this is exactly, I mean, just hearing all you amazing stalwarts here, we are learning every second and every minute. Fantastic answer. Mr. Roy, coming to you, our movie inspirer. So when it comes to supply chain, right? Do you think that it is a choice between agility and accuracy? And if yes, what would you choose? If no, how do you maintain a balance?
Okay. So I'll take little time to explain, I mean, the context and then get to your answer, right? So this question, accuracy versus agility, has been long debated, especially in the supply chain parlance again, right? And usually accuracy versus agility are seen at loggerheads with each other, especially during unprecedented times, right? Or in management terms, we use a term called VUCA, VUCA, VUCA world, right? So what does VUCA stand for? So VUCA was a concept that was originated amongst the students of US Army, right? Just after the Cold War. So VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, right? Now, drawing an analogy from the VUCA world to what we face in pharma industry, right? It is the uncertain times of where we see competitor activity rising up. There is heavy promotional activity in the market. There is recessions, weather calamities, and last but not the least, right, pandemics like COVID-19, right, which comes without saying. So now coming to your question, right? So now I'll just break these two into different parts. Let's talk about agility first, right? So when we talk about agility, we talk about agility of execution, right? Post the occurrence of an event or an exception, which is reaction agility, right? And trust me, this comes with not only a lot of difficulty, but also increases the overall cost of your supply chain. While reaction agility is very, very important, anticipation agility in demand planning is also possible, right? What if instead of reacting to an already occurred event, one could anticipate the event well in advance to either mitigate or leverage the impact of that event. In such a methodology, the change happens, but is easily accommodated as part of the process, and it doesn't come as a shock to the overall system, so to say, right? Now, coming to the second piece of the equation, which is the accuracy, right? So accuracy is how close the forecast is to the actuals, plus how consistent the forecast is over a period of time, right? And traditionally speaking, in the demand planning world, you need to be accurate, or you need more time for data points to develop, more time for communication, consensus building, and therefore more time to set an accurate forecast, right? So conclusion is what? Conclusion is accuracy and agility cannot go hand in hand, right? But the answer is not. If you ask now coming to my personal opinion, however, I feel that living in today's emerging tech world, accuracy and agility don't have to be at opposition, right? If anticipation agility is infused into our demand planning and forecasting cycles, then it can actually help improve both forecast accuracy and your forecast consistency. And now the question last is how, right? So answer is technology again. So Bhavik already spoke about leveraging technology like AI, machine learning, right? Empowered by the right business context, demand planning and forecasting teams can be equipped with the ability to anticipate future changes or exceptions, empowering them with the true agility that helps them better prepared and improve both accuracy and consistency at the same time.
Mr. Roy, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. By the way, I've totally noted this down so that I can show off in my next and seem intelligent. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Roy, for enlightening us with such an amazing answer. The same question to Mr. Pujari. Mr. Pujari, when it comes to supply chain, right, what do you think is more important, or what would be your choice, agility or accuracy? If neither, and you say balance, then how do you strike a balance?
Yeah. See, it's like this, in which industry, in which customer segment, and what kind of drug you are talking about. Like if I have to also look at this level of supply chain, if I'm looking at the lowest level of the supply chain, the accuracy would become more important. But as we go up in the supply chain, because of the cushion that we have, or the the additional inventory that we would always have, the accuracy will not be as important as agility, because I would like to ensure that my customer requirement is met. Okay. Now this was a past thinking. Now what is the new thinking today? We think that the technology is there. The technology is providing all the answers. Like what Debashish was mentioning, it starts from the demand planning. Okay. Now where do I introduce accuracy into this? I am introducing accuracy through demand planning. Now, demand planning is good, but what about actual execution, actual consumption that happens? In the good old days, the consumption was not fully visible to me in the secondary and tertiary level of consumption or the utilization. So with the technology, now it is very much available. So as we go along, if we have a better mix of the technology, one, of course, the demand planning added with the AI and ML capabilities, plus the supply chain added with the technology of availability of the information, accurate information available at any point in time, the response time being good because of the high speed of internet connection, I feel the agility and the accuracy can go hand in hand. As we move along further and further, let's improve on our machine learning abilities and the AI capabilities in our demand planning, and improve the technology usage in the supply chain. We will be able to definitely bridge the gap.
I want to add a point.
Yeah, please do.
This is an example. So first wave of COVID, we got to know and understood that vitamin C will be required. And that's a forecasting which whatever we would have used AI/ML wouldn't have worked. But in the second wave, we got the obvious data of first wave, and the company that got vitamin C tablet manufactured with us for an entire year, only in 1 month of April, we manufactured 30 crore tablets just for a single vitamin C brand for that company alone in the month of April. This is agility that the company had for manufacturing. This is forecasting that we got to know. Similarly, now in third wave, We know the forecasting that we all today know that the wave will be for products related to your gut, food, water, and healthcare products related to those. So we know that this is the forecasting required. Do we have the agility to manufacture it at that scale again? Yeah. So data backed by the science that is needed for output is both agility and availability that can be made. Thanks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think the conclusion is what Mr. Roy, Mr. Pujari, Mr. Kumar are saying is why choose? They don't want to choose. They want the best of both. And technology is definitely the answer and the reason why they wouldn't want to choose, right? Fantastic. Gentlemen, are with this, we have one last question, a closing statement from our amazing leaders, that is all of you, right? So we'll start with Mr. Roy. Mr. Roy, what do you think is what the future of supply chain looks like for the Indian pharma sector?
That's a very difficult question, actually. So I would say with all these things happening, right, and with COVID coming into picture, digital technology coming to the forefront, for me, there are three pillars which should be at the core, right? One is the supply chain should focus at delivering better operational effectiveness, right? And by saying that, I mean enable tracking of near expiry goods to ensure liquidation, reduce expiry claims, etc. Right? That is one. Second is insights, right? Or data-driven insights. So you should have dashboards readily available to track your sales performance at a territory, at a BU level. Live secondary sales tracking should be at your ease. And last, better customer engagement, right? That can help increase influence over our distributors, increase efficiency at CFA by reducing order intake time, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, these three should be definitely the focus area for every industry, irrespective of how you operate.
Fantastic answer, Mr. Roy. Mr. Kumar, same question to you.
I think the fragmentation in our country with 70,000 distributors, 100 odd PMS, and over 150 ERPs, POS, all these will reduce. All these will reduce to an extent where consolidation will happen, and the larger players will evolve if they don't use this visibility and technology as a tool to grow. That's my concluding remark on the question. I still have another concluding remark before I want to leave, and that is because Nikita, you started off with Bollywood, and Mr. Roy spoke of entrepreneurship. I want to quote Anand Mahindra, who said, Bollywood heroes are called entertainers and entrepreneurs are called heroes. So kudos to the entrepreneurs in this panel and on Exito today. Thank you.
Fantastic. Wow. Yes, yes, I do remember Mr. reading that amazing quote with Mr. Mahindra had said, it is you who are heroes, right? The people that we call heroes till now are actors. It is you who are heroes who are changing the Indian landscape for the better. Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. And of course, Mr. Pujari. Mr. Pujari.
See, I think, the one important point that we should look at is the disruption that is likely to happen in the coming years. The supply chain, of course, has been very, very important in the past also because of the distributors, retailers, and the C&F agents and many such intermediaries there. Availability of information, using the supply chain visibility was very, very important. But as we go, in my view, in next 2 to 5 years, there is going to be huge disruption. And that is going to make supply chain even more important for the pharma industry. And one important disruption that I see happening is the online pharmacy. That's going to change the landscape.
Fantastic answer. A big round of applause, gentlemen. I want you to clap for yourself along with me. What a session that was. Absolutely amazing. But because all three of you were fantastic, okay, so there's a small game that we want to play with you and our amazing audience members as well. So, gentlemen, are you all set? If you are, give me a thumbs up. I love that the panelists are set for anything. Okay. So one by one, I will ask, and then the question we'll put forward to our audience members as well. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, ever since I've been asked to host PITS, I've been haunted with one question. Panelist, one question only, which I have to ask. So, all of you are in the pharma industry, IT sector, but pharma industry nevertheless. And I'm pretty sure your uncles, aunties, Sage Sambandhi completely ignore the IT part and focus only on the pharma? So let us know in the comment box, and this is for our audience members and a panelist. Please switch on your audio and tell me the number of times someone has asked or shown their full body checkup reports, blood tests, and medical receipts to you, or better still, you tell us the most medical question someone has asked you and which made you go, "Why me?" So we'll start with Mr. Pujari. Mr. Pujari, the most medical question someone has asked you.
See, just before few, because I was, of course, different industries I have been moving, and now since the last few years I've been in the pharma industry. It's more than that. The technology is definitely not a subject of discussion. The industry is a subject of discussion. And today, in last few years, what I have seen is that because my daughter has become a doctor. Now, even then, the question is not being asked to me. So I'm having the privilege of not put in an uncomfortable position of answering this question.
Because we want a daughter who is a doctor, but still people come to you with their.
Yes.
Do you start?
I redirect them to her.
Fantastic. Wow. Okay. These are the kind of answers we want. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know in the comment box. And moving on to our next speaker, of course, Mr. Bhavik Kumar, the most medical question someone has asked you.
Someone named my wife, okay.
That's someone's your wife, okay.
She says whenever her peer side, matlab her mom side, has any health issue, she WhatsApp me the report and says, "Aap to aadhe doctor ho, dekh ke batao kya hai." Yeah.
Mr. Bhavik Kumar, the follow-up question is, आप देखते हो कि नहीं?
She will be listening to me, Nikita.
मैं पुजारी सर को फॉरवर्ड कर देता हूँ.
आप मेरा वीकेंड बगाड़ना चाहते हो?
नहीं. I dare not do that. Of course, Mr. Debashish Roy, same question. Most medical things someone has asked you.
I think it is like common thing, right? I mean, being in the industry for so long and still getting to know the molecule name and stuff, that because we are working very closely with the brand and marketing teams. So getting random calls sometimes, ki molecule name kya hai, right? Will it work for so-and-so disease? So common questions I keep on getting, and I keep on saying, I don't know that. You better refer to a doctor or an SCP.
I don't know that, पर जवाब ये है, but मैं बोल रहा हूँ, don't take my word.
Exactly.
Fantastic answer. Thank you so very much, Mr. Pujari, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Roy. What a pleasure having you. Fantastic session. Thank you so very much.